Welcome to This Is Your Time with ChaChanna podcast. I'm your host and Sunshine Soul Navigator, ChaChanna, and I'm also a Reiki master, crystal practitioner, psychic, and stellar storyteller on a mission to embrace joy and happiness. On this podcast, I'm sharing a collage of my thoughts and musings, Reiki, personal stories, and more to not only entertain you, but to inspire and encourage you to discover what brings you joy. This podcast is your invitation to explore the pleasures of life. It's about taking the time to intentionally seek out and embrace those things that bring you joy. Because truly, this is your time to create, live, explore, and enjoy every moment of your life. So let's begin. You bring me joy when I'm down. Oh, so much joy. When I lose my way, love comes smiling on me. I saw your face. Oh my gosh, I love that song. It's by the amazing Anita Baker. It was off her second studio album, Rapture, which was released in 1986. On that same album, my favorite song, it's my favorite song because it's the first song that I ever remembered from top to bottom. Wait, how old was I? 8. And anyone remember when the cassettes came out and they had like the words or lyrics on it? Man, I studied that paper like I was going to be tested on it. Ugh. With all my heart. Well, that didn't go so well. Let's try it again. With all my heart, I love you, baby. Stay with me and you will see my arms will hold you, baby. Never leave, 'cause I believe I'm in love. Sweet love. Man, y'all just wait until I get some singing lessons. Anyway, love that song. Now let's get on with this week's episode now that I got that out of my system. So I'm just going to start out with the news that This Is Your Time is coming to an end soon. I know, you're so disappointed, right? When I originally started this podcast, my thoughts were that this podcast was going to be about whatever I wanted to talk about, and it has been. And I mostly like to talk about positive messages, things that'll uplift you, sharing what I'm doing, how I'm allowing myself to embrace joy. And by doing the things that make me happy, whole, and joyful, and doing more of that, to inspire you to do the same in your life. And I was also helping every now and then that you would purchase a psychic reading and some intuitive Reiki sessions from me. And that was really the goal. So I started out with doing the messages, and then I evolved to include my storytelling and my writing journey, because those things do bring me joy. And while I was doing that, somehow in the beginning of this year, like a switch flipped, we'll say. And I just fell madly back in love with doing more reading, with writing and telling stories. It was so sudden, and it just feels so good that I'm going to continue to focus on that. That is what is lighting me up right now. And I'm just going to follow it. In doing this podcast and allowing myself the freedom to do what I want to do, because I wasn't so sure. And I did struggle to find a common theme for the podcast, because when you're marketing something, you want to say, hey, this podcast is about this, it's about this. And my podcast was my podcast is about whatever I want to talk about. And sometimes that's not a selling point for get people to listen. They're like, well, who are you? Why would I want to? But I didn't care, because I was enjoying it and doing it the way that I wanted to do. And by following what I wanted to do that made me happy, it led me right back to my first love, which is words, which is writing, that I had abandoned earlier because I wasn't perfect at it. But how do you get better at a thing? that you want to get better at, you have to do it. And I would have never gotten back to writing, which I truly thought I was never going to do again, or I was going to do when I retired. But that's not the case anymore. So for you, because you know I like to tie in my experiences and translate them into how you can help yourself find more joy by doing the things that make you happy, whole, and joyful. Where in your life can you allow yourself to take off the limits and the restrictions and the preconceived notions of how you're supposed to do something? Because that's how you think it's supposed to be done. Or because you think everyone is going to judge you because you are not doing it the way it's supposed to be done. We really have to stop allowing the idea or the thought that people are going to judge us, because they're going to do it anyway. We have to stop allowing that from keeping us from having fun and living our life out loud. Because let's be real, you have thoughts about what people are thinking. You have no idea if it's true, but it's there. It will probably always be there. It's natural. All I'm asking you and myself to do is to stop allowing it to be the reason, the excuse that you don't do the things your way, or even finding out what your way is. For me with this podcast, I could have made it all spiritual, about doing readings and talking about Reiki and crystals and magic and, and everything in that area. But I've done that before, and it feels really limiting. And then I get bored and I'm like, but I have so many other interests. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about that. And I didn't want to feel trapped. So this go around, I said, I'm going to talk about what I want. I don't care if anybody listens. I don't care what people or what I think other people are thinking. I'm going to do it the way that I want to do it. And it's been fun. I show up every week like, what do I want to talk about? It's the reason why I start the episodes singing. My voice is not perfect, but I love the singer about the moon and the spring and the June. I love to sing. Does anyone remember that cartoon? Anyway, that's what I'm talking about. Doing what flows out, what makes me happy. And allowing this to happen led me right back to writing. And I'm so excited. And writing isn't the only thing I'll be talking about, because I'm starting another podcast. So this one will be ending, but a new one will be taking its place. And so since now I'm back into writing and I figured out what I want to talk about and where I want to go with this, I will be talking about writing, but it won't be the only thing I'll be talking about either. But I'll share more about that in a future episode. For now, I just wanted to share with you that what is coming, and share with you that you are not stuck where you are. It doesn't matter how old you are, how long you've been working at something. When it doesn't feel right anymore, it's okay to pivot or drop it entirely. I am such an advocate for doing what makes you happy, doing what brings you joy, because it makes life so much more enjoyable than doing the things that we're supposed to be doing. And a lot of times it's what we think other people think we should be doing. It's not even us. And I just really want us all to have more fun. I really, really do. So this podcast journey and the past couple months so far has embodied my phrase of find the things that make you happy, whole, and joyful, and do more of that. Because when I did that, it led me to amazing things, amazing people, amazing places, amazing experiences, amazing opportunities, and amazing thoughts. I have noticed I am enjoying my life so much more when I just say, forget it, and just do what I want. And it's weird because I'm used to being stressed about something, but I have finally learned to allow myself to be okay. I'm not totally there yet, but I'm there more than I wasn't. Because what I mean by that, when we are all stressed out and anxious, the goal is to be calm and allow things to be okay. But What people don't talk about is how hard that is. Because if you've been living a stressed and anxious life for years, your mind, your body is used to waiting for the other shoe to drop, right? So it's always on high alert. So when things are going well, and I know you are like me, and think, everything feels fine, there's nothing to worry about, this is a trap. I'm forgetting about something, there is something wrong because I can't find what is wrong. It just feels uneasy and unsafe to be okay, even though that's what we want to feel. But when we're there, we're like, this is suspicious. I don't trust it. You think there should be something wrong. I must be forgetting something. And you keep ruminating on it until unconsciously you create something to be wrong, something to obsess over. Am I right? We want to be okay, but we don't know how to actually allow ourselves to be okay. It's something you have to, what's the word I'm looking for? Something you have to practice, something you have to get used to. Our lives are not supposed to be, in my opinion, I don't believe our lives are supposed to be stressful. I don't believe we're supposed to be anxious. I don't believe we're always supposed to be looking for having to fix something all the time. Like, it's okay for life to be okay. And I know there's a phrase that people say that life isn't supposed to be easy or everything's not supposed to be calm, because if it were, then life would be boring. I no longer subscribe to that thought anymore. Who said life would be boring? That's what we've been trained to believe, consciously or unconsciously, that we have to be worried that something has to be happening, or else something has to challenge us, because when things are okay, then we're not being challenged and things are not good and life is boring. I'm not subscribing to that anymore. So the first step in learning to be okay with everything be okay, because it's okay to be okay. And it's also okay for things not to be. Sometimes things are not, but when they are and you're ruminating, the first step is to recognize that's what you're doing. Like, okay, things are okay. I'm not used to things being okay, and that's okay. And then find ways to figure out how to calm your nervous system. That could be meditation, tapping, Reiki, yoga, things that bring you joy. And replace that idea that you're supposed to be worrying with something to do, because that's what it is, right? When we're not worried, when we're not freaking out about something, your brain is thinking, I have nothing to do. And that's what's wrong. So find things to do to fill that time, to fill that void. Because when you are peaceful and not doing anything, again, you're thinking that, oh my God, I'm bored. Because your brain has nothing to freak out over. And you don't know what to do with yourself. So your brain is like, all right, I'm going to find something. But take control of that something. Read a book. I don't care. Go for a walk. Start training yourself in those moments when you recognize that things are okay and you're starting to freak out because they're not. Realize it's because you're bored. Your mind doesn't have anything to do. Okay, I'm not really sure how we got to this point of me talking about that, but here we are. At the end of this podcast now. And I thank you so much for being here and listening to my tangents as we started with a song and end up somewhere down the street by the ice cream parlor, not knowing how we got there, but having a good time along the way. So, in conclusion, over the next couple weeks, we will be transitioning to the new podcast, and you don't have to do anything. I am just going to update this feed. So if you want to keep hanging around, nothing will change on your side. So go out there and really follow the things that bring you happiness, wholeness, and joyfulness. Like, what is it? What is that thing that you can follow? What is that thing that you can do? Please if you don't know, take some time and think about it. Really think about it. What's going to bring you joy? And then start to figure out how you can pursue it, how you can add more of it into your life. And then when you realize that you are freaking out because everything's okay and you're suspicious and you're looking for something to be wrong because you must have forgotten something, do that thing that brings you joy. Replace that thought that you are bored and you need something to worry about. Replace it with something, because what it is maybe you are bored. You're bored of what's going on, and you need to replace it with something that's going to make you happy. I'm such an advocate for your joy. You have no idea. Oh my God, I want it so much. But I can't want it more than you. You have to actually take the steps to get there. I'm taking the actual steps to get there and hoping that's going to inspire you to do the same, because it can be done. We are not on this planet just to sit here and to simply exist and not do things that are fun for us. That's the end of my rant for today. Again, thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you in the next episode. Just chill to the next episode. It's like that and like this and like that. And okay, I'm done. And that wraps up our episode. Thank you so much for listening. I do realize you have a choice, and I'm honored that you chose to spend your time with me. If you enjoyed this episode, and I'm going to say you did, please leave a review on your favorite podcast app. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, find the things that make you happy, whole, and joyful, and do more of that.